Welcome to the Game Corner, another video game podcast. My name is Harrison. You might know me online as Robix, and I'm joined as always by friend and co-host.
This is Sheldon. You probably know me as Captain Unova.
I 100% think that gulp got into the audio, so I'm very excited for that.
No, I'm sorry.
It's staying in there, don't you worry. Anyway, what's up? How's your week been?
Pretty good. It's a week. But
It is a week.
Nothing too bad though. How about yours?
Oh, I am super excited for next weekend to be over. Because every weekend for the past all of this year, actually, I've been busy. Either working a Renaissance fair or attending Charlotte. So I've not had a chance to just relax at home over the weekend between work.
That's
which
fair.
Is self-imposed, so it's not entirely a bad thing. But boy, I've never looked forward so much as I do now to mowing my lawn.
I get it.
Getting stuff done, right? Just general. But that also means that I unfortunately have not had a lot of time for video games and watching regionals and whatnot. So I make for bad company on a video game podcast right now, except for what I hear from this, that, and the other thing. So
Vicariously through others.
I have to at this point. Yeah, it's very, very fun. Have you had gaming opportunity as of late?
A little Palworld.
What is this Palworld? Huh? Weird.
Yeah.
Oh, you missed. Oh, you weren't on last week. Oh,
yeah.
Wait. Yeah, this is fantastic. So we get to have your Palworld impressions now. So that would be exciting. Cool. Well, do we want to jump into Pokemon first? We had Liverpool Regional this past weekend.
That we did.
All right. And then we can talk about Palworld and other gaming stuff in the back half.
Sounds good.
So. Liverpool. Over in Liverpool, United Kingdom, was the 27th and 28th of January in 2024. There was a whopping 664 players, so close to a number, only two off. Masters, it was a nine Swiss in day one, 5 in day two, the normal stuff, yada yada yada. Top cut 8. All right, cool. The thing that I think everyone's gonna walk away from Liverpool realizing is that, while there were 664 players in that tournament, there was not, hold on, doing some quick math, 664 times 6, there were not at the end of the tournament 3,984 Pokemon, because there were so many disqualifications.
Yes, lots.
And I think one of the frustrating things that we saw floating around VGC Twitter, VGCX, I don't like that.
It's Twitter.
Yeah, it's Twitter. It'll forever be Twitter. But floating around VGC Twitter was that there wasn't necessarily it was more. The hack checks are weird.
Yes.
And
it's the first time they were checking certain things too, right?
Yeah, no, I think there's a point where people were like, "Hey, I had 2 Pokemon on my team that I legitimately trained were removed." So either that person might have been fibbing, misinformed, confused, or actually was entirely boned in the competition for hack checks. I don't know. So I think the jury is still a little out on what that means, but they're doing something funky with hack checks, and it's quite upsetting.
Yes. And it seems like it's a shotgun approach kind of thing where there's not much to it. So I guess to get down to it, one of the first ones that popped up was the Ting Lu's, basically.
Yeah. Okay. I saw Ting Lu floating around, but I didn't follow what that was all about.
Yeah. So what it was with the Ting Lu's is they had the same trainer and ID number, and you could only catch one Ting Lu per save file. So you can't have 2 with the same.
So they checked 2 different people's Ting Lu's.
Yes.
And saw that the numbers were the same. The identification numbers were the same.
Now I'm more curious about how they grabbed these 2 people out of
664 masters.
600 people. Like it wasn't random. To me, that's not random.
Sure. I mean, that's potentially is. I don't know who you're talking about. So maybe it was a building group that people were like, ooh, person X and person Y, they built together and they both have very similar, maybe the same teams.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder what they, what they have.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how they chose the people they chose to hack check this time around. Yeah. Like, to me, I feel like it should be like a company drug test kind of thing where it's just you pull 10% or whatever, check them randomly, and then tournament continues on.
Well, so they okay. Now, my understanding for a lot of hack checks, like if you make day 2, you get hack checked. Is that true?
Yes. If you make day 2, yes.
Okay, but this was day 1.
This was day 1. This was happening. So I don't know exactly. So
my other question, and this is I have no idea, but are the hack checks like this? This obviously is the tournament organizer, which I don't remember who it was.
Tournament Center.
Tournament Center. Neat. What a fancy name. So Tournament Center, would they like maliciously overchecking hacks? Or maybe not malicious. Malicious is the wrong word, but like were they overextending their reach on hack checking?
It's possible, but
I don't know.
But why too? Like,
correct.
I don't like. I feel like there's some. I haven't done enough research into it to really say. It's just a weird vibe to be. How that went about.
Yeah, and I mean, people who've listened to this show for a while know that we are pretty pro genning on this. Like it's I guess it's against the rules. We recognize that. So like obviously if you get caught with it, then okay, sure, you're DQ'd. That makes sense. There's a degree of give and take there. But like honestly, do they not want people to play this game?
Yeah. Right.
Like there's so much that you don't need to build a Pokemon in game to play VGC. You can
that has no bearing on any match. Correct. How much time you took to sit there and make a team.
And I wish I could credit this person. I saw someone on Twitter, and they were definitely rage baiting some engagement on Twitter, and they're like something about the disqualifications, and it was an obviously bad take, but as you've read their responses, you realize how much of it was sarcastic. Like, man, we should totally have VGC tournaments be all about hatching eggs.
Yeah.
Or something.
You should show up with 6 eggs and you have to hatch them. Mm-hmm. Right?
No,
like when round 1 starts.
You have to actually breed the Pokemon. So you have to have the Pokemon you want.
Gotcha. Because you can hack in a leg. Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually have to breed them in person and then go train them, bottle cap them, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So we're gonna push back. Day 1 is gonna be
Thursday.
Thursday, yes. Thursday. Whenever you check in, you have to sit at the hall and build your team from nothing.
Well, actually, the funny thing is on Thursday when you register, they actually take your Switch and delete all your save files.
That was the next part. So you actually have to beat the game.
Yes. Well, no, you don't have to beat the game. No, that's ridiculous. You don't have to beat the game. You have to get far enough to be able to breed and catch Pokemon you want.
Well, unless you want to use like a Team Glue or something, you have to get that far into the game.
Correct. So you better hope that you're very fast.
Yes.
Okay. So jokes aside.
Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah, that's why
it was Marco Fierro. He ended up losing 2 Mons.
Well, there's a good meme floating around.
Yeah, he
on stage with 4 Pokemon.
He finished 9 and 5.
Yeah, that's really good for your opponents wondering which
starting at round 4, and he had a Roaring Moon, a Fluttermane, an Ogerpon, and a Raging Bolt.
So it'd be really funny, really interesting, I should say, if VGC. So obviously for a lot of our stuff, we look at Victory Road, victor@vgc.com, and it'd be really fun if they like somehow made notes of, yep, this person was disqualified.
They
lost his mons.
Yeah, they just took him off
or something. Yeah. So there's, I don't know. I'm curious to see what comes out of this. This is still kind of fresh, right? Like we're recording this a day after the tournament, or I guess 2 days after the tournament.
2 days, yeah.
So we're still kind of waiting to see what people kind of say. You know, what comes out of the court of public opinion. Obviously, is very, I think, going to be very mad. In general, right?
Yeah.
People who actually play VGC know that it's not a big deal.
And I just went down through the list there. So what he lost was an Amoonguss and an Incineroar. Of all things you lose.
Apparently, someone else I saw lost. I think the person I was referencing, I wish I knew who it was, lost an Incineroar and a Rillaboom that they apparently trained themselves to a hack check. So again, either a mistake in the hack check or a mistake on their part, not sure.
And I'm wondering like how they seem to kind of target some of them. Like I said, a Ting Lu situation. How in the world you randomly pull the two people that have a cloned Ting Lu, so they have the same everything. Like that's pretty specific. So unless they're like, all right, well, since you both have them, you both lose them.
I mean, that's a fair point too, right? Like if they're gonna go to do,
because I mean, if it's cloned, how do you honestly tell them apart? What's the legit one? Like you can't.
But like,
but that also kind of proves a point too, doesn't it? If you can't tell them apart.
Well, that's yes. But to that same point, right? If I'm going through, all of my, even if I for one reason or another have my legitimate Ting Lu that I'm using in tournament, but then I've cloned it and for just other teams, other builds that I have in my boxes, right? Hey, if they look at that and say like, hey, why do you have so many Ting Lus with the same, same IDs, and then you're screwed, right? Like you suddenly lost your Ting Lu, I guess.
Something. Like if it's not on your team, like why does it even matter? Like because that's
what I mean. Like because it's not being used with someone else.
Yeah, because at Worlds they hit people for stuff in boxes.
In the boxes, that's what I mean.
And you were getting straight up DQs for that, right?
I think so.
Yeah, you were getting straight, like not even, you weren't just losing one of your team members or something. You were getting a straight DQ.
Right. So if they can legitimately tell, like, yes, this is a Gen Mon, and they can just remove that Mon from your roster, okay, that's maybe acceptable. Because honestly, if you gen correctly, 90% of the Pokemon you can get away with, right? Like it's not an issue.
Yep.
There's a select few, like all the home mons. Obviously, if they're gonna be that particular, I think the two people same ID, that's wild to me. That's a whole different situation. But like besides that, if just you and home mons and the home tracker stuff, like that's kind of the only way that they can really determine if you're genning so far, right? Unless what's his name, Caphonix decided to update some stuff in PK Hex and no one caught it or something.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting. So who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see from here. It's a evolving situation. So
yes, very, very, very newsworthy term you just used there.
And it's inconsistent from tournament to tournament, so that's also an issue. Because that's
the main issue here.
That actually, that is like as ridiculous as we think it is. Like the getting bans for a Gen Mon for something that doesn't affect the game at all. Like for it to be an inconsistent thing too, and you can't just tell us like, this is what we're looking for. You can't just broad stroke it, or like
there is some issue there, right? Like to play devil's avocado a little bit. If they tell us exactly what they're looking for, then people who are genning and building these gen bots will gen better.
Yeah, but like. Right? The rules are the problem.
The rulings though, it should be.
So like if you go down the rules, like it says using any, hack software to do anything, but it also says using any external hardware. So a turbo controller, for instance, to farm money is against the rules for VGC. So like it like it's the can of worms kind of situation. It like you can buy turbo
and that
control.
You literally can't tell.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you got a lot of money. Like, are you gonna like figure out how many hours they have in game? Be like, oh no, this is impossible for you to have sit there and done this. Like, no.
Yeah, I don't know. There is a, I don't know. There's a world in which they could easily fix this by just giving us a team builder in game.
Yes.
But then we all know that that just makes the pixels less like animals and more like pixels, and that's not what Nintendo or Pokemon want. So Game Freak, Pokemon, whatever the Pokemon company wants. So they're never gonna do that. Ever. Which makes me big sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's or if we get it, it'll be a couple years from now or a couple generations. It'll be way too behind when we needed it.
Yeah, it won't be in Gen 9. It won't be in Gen 10.
Yeah.
If it is in Gen 10, I would love to be wrong about that, but it's not.
No.
Yeah.
It's the sad truth of this game. It's just taken. I'm trying to think of, like, it almost like having been like in the military and working for the government for so long in my life. It's like the equivalent of that. They're like taking that approach. Like you could have a job that could be legitimately fun and rewarding, and they suck the life right out of it.
Well, to even more so, they're not taking. They're very slow at taking the steps to make this an actual esport.
Like it's a bureaucratic decision. It's like,
yes,
you get handed like publicity and everything like on a silver. Like you don't have to promote the game. There's no promotion needed. I guarantee.
Pokemon prints money.
Exactly. Like, can you imagine if they just were able to slapped advertisers on these streams, like on a TCG? Like TCG makes some money anyway, but okay, to put an advertiser banner on the official stream, like
I wonder who would actually money. I wonder who would actually advertise on a Pokemon stream. But money aside, like it's also just the fact that like they can make the tools that they're producing, you know, in the game itself more esport-esque, so that it's even stuff, right? Like there's no real competitive video game
this is the only game where you have to grind like this to just start to compete, because
where the casual part is so in front of the competitive part.
Yes to this extent. And also, like, it'd be one thing if the casual like led you naturally into VGC, but it doesn't.
It does not.
There's no if there was a way.
All of the Blueberry Academy was double battle, Sheldon. What are you talking about?
Yeah, something like that. But like,
there's always that one gym leader that's double battles too. Come on, that's 1/8 of the gym leaders.
Yeah, because every game kind of has like a tutorial, like little bit, and you usually have to play like a little bit before you actually get into like the competitive side. But like, then they give you things like here's what you need to start competing.
Yep.
Pokemon, it is a like you have to know somebody to even get into it.
I mean, there's so much, like even was it Pokesports last episode or something, but it came up again where people who don't know how to get into a tournament have no idea what to do.
Exactly.
Right? Like you need to know someone who's already doing this for it to make any amount of sense.
Yep.
Because there's no like clear-cut way to even like be a part of the in-person competitive scene.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you say that out loud, it's just baffling.
Especially when you think about the company it's coming from, one of the biggest franchises of all time. Like we're talking Disney level, like recognition, like brand recognition, or beyond Disney level. Like it is up there.
Yeah, it is what classically it's the most money making media franchise in the world.
And this is what we get for for playing their game competitively, and it just feels like we're stuck. Like you get more out of indie development.
That's true, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But like, and to be fair, like the VGC scene is actually a small percentage of the people who buy and play Pokemon video games, which, I mean, but you can change that if you really wanted to. If you wanted to make,
if they and like, I don't understand what they would think is the downside to it, because that's just because like you don't have to change the game.
Nope.
You just have to give us access to the stuff we need, or make it trivial. Then don't make it an actual like It's like it feels like you're grinding for real life. Like you're like some games you grind to like get to a point. Like this is like to do what I want to do. I have a
job. I have a job. I have a 40-hour plus a week job. I have a family. I got other things I like to do with my time. I do want to spend some time practicing Pokemon. Showdown is a great resource for that.
Yes.
But playing the actual game that I want to play and doing it the way they want us to do it, it doesn't actually, it clashes in such a weird way.
It does. And, you know, there's people out there too that enjoy doing that, and cool.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with liking to build your team. And
I'm never, especially in this game. Like Sword and Shield was a little bit different. Sword and Shield was I could put a team together in Sword and Shield real quick. But in Scarlet and Violet, it is a grind fest because you need so many Terra Shards, and it even helped out in the DLC. It's still not enough. I still need so many other resources. Like,
I've not built since the DLC came out, right? So, or like actually done stuff in game for it. So I don't know how much easier that made it. I still don't want to.
Because it's like you ever see like some of the gacha games and they just keep adding currencies.
Yeah.
So like, okay, yes, I have this currency, so I can do this. Well, they're like, well, actually, you can't use that to get these. You have to do this.
Right. It's
just none of it works together. If I could just make money and get everything I needed, sure, okay, whatever, go grind money. That's one thing I have to grind for.
Right.
But that's not how this is.
Between, let's see, there's money, there's LP, there's BP, there's Mochi, there's Terra Shards, there's
just
vitamins, bottle caps. I'm trying to think of like
the TM material, like the materials that Pokemon drop.
Oh, TM material. Oh, that actually sucks the worst.
Yes, you actually have to get things to make
specific things.
You can't just buy them.
That's at least 8 like non-reusable resources.
Yes, that you just have to.
They just have to continuously grind.
Yes, it's a lot.
It's a bit much. So,
and if it was a single player like non-competitive thing, and that's what you like to grind for things, be fine, cool,
it's fine.
But whenever I have to do it to play a game, I just want to play the game. Like I want to play competitive, and
like there are games like Ark and Palworld and Minecraft and Valheim, and I'm trying to think of Terraria. All these tree punching games. That's the game. Like they're supposed to be grindy. You do things to get better at doing that grind. That's fine. That's the game's built around that.
Yes.
VGC is not built around the other parts of this.
Yes. It really needs to be its own subset game part of just like when you go into the ranked ladder, it's just okay, choose your mods. Like pick your fighter like a fighting game. Pick your fighter and go. Imagine.
It's a classic like the world if we had the team builder in game, like the Utopia meme.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, that's our Jennings rant. Whoops, that took 15 more minutes than I thought it was going to. Looking back at Liverpool, let's just look at the top 8 real quick. It's pretty interesting.
Wolfie won again.
Well, hold on. Close, but almost.
Yes.
That is Wolf's team, right?
Yes. He's Wolf's team. Yeah.
Literally the same team that won last weekend.
Yeah. Antonio Sanchez.
Yes. Came in first place with his 2024 Worlds invite, 200 CP and $6,000, which is pretty fun. bringing the same team as last time, which with Fire Ogerpon, Fluttermane, Incineroar, Water Shifu,
Yeah.
Fervor Giraffe, and Rillaboom.
The very classic fire water grass, kind of like what poster child's of fire water grass though in this kind of format. The Incineroar, Water Urshifu, and Rillaboom. Like it's peanut butter and jelly.
And Ogerpon too, in this situation really also helps, which is great. A very fun looking team. I'm sure that's all over ladder right now. Continuing to have really wild Terra types too. But I think that's pretty cool. And then Flavio del Pidio? Pidio?
Pado on Twitter.
What? Yes, Pado on Twitter. Good point. Second place, 160 CP, $4,000, and he brought Waterpon, Fluttermane, Incineroar, Baxcalibur, Heatran. I haven't seen that mango in a while, and Rillaboom.
Yeah, the Heatran and Baxcalibur put some work in over the weekend.
Yeah. Okay. So I haven't seen, like I said earlier, I have not seen any of this stuff.
Super bulky Heatran leftover set.
Okay.
Clear Amulet, Baxcalibur, Swords Dance, Glaive Rush, and Ice Shard.
Nice.
So you're just looking just to blow something up.
Yeah. Really angry Ice Dragon. I like it. And then I think everything else is relatively standard in the format. It is fun to see. So a good interesting point here is that we have the top cut here has a bunch of water pond. Didn't the last top cut we talked about have fire pond?
Yeah.
Like it keeps switch swapping.
They're both really good though. Just
flip flopping back and forth. Yes.
It's such a good Pokemon.
So I think it really ends up being what you're comfortable with and what you can splash onto your team.
Yeah.
Right. Like
but it fills a role, like, so whatever your team needs, it kind of just fills that slot.
Okay. It was balanced. It was 3 and 3 in Charlotte, top 8.
Yeah.
At least. Either way, I think Fire and Water Ogerpon, they're not going anywhere. They're both really good Pokemon.
Very good.
Honestly, I do think Ogerpon might be some, like, my favorite legendary as of late. Last few generations.
I love the design of it personally.
Yeah, so
like the design is so good. Like competitively, the design, it's just. Have I
told you? Also, my this is my personal plan for any time that I catch and or create an Ogerpon. It'll always be in a Love Ball, because lore-wise, that is the most appropriate, and I will not be told otherwise.
That's fair.
I'll accept Luxury Ball.
Yeah, mine go in the Luxury
Ball. But Love Ball is very good.
If I I legitimately built a team if everything's in a Luxury Ball.
Really?
Yeah, everything. Except for my Squawkabilly. It's in a Great Ball because it was a random catch in a playthrough.
Okay, fair enough.
But it had a good mark, so I had to keep it.
Luxury is my favorite Pokeball.
Same.
It's a very good looking ball.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it was anything but what it does.
Yeah.
I wish it was more than one times catch rate, all that fun stuff. It's just a Pokeball.
Yeah, it's just a Pokeball. Very, very expensive Pokeball. Mm-hmm. But it looks really good.
It looks good and makes you friendly. It makes you friendly.
I get that or Cherish.
Cherish was good.
Cherish is very nice.
Anyway, so Ogerpon is great, and she is sticking around for a while.
Oh yes.
Let's see. Am I back on the right page? I am. Tell me all about third place, Sheldon.
Third place, Golden Go. Edu, Edward Acuna. See, so Edu brought the Water Pond, Goldango, Incineroar. I think it's a Dark Urshifu. Dark Urshifu, Focus Sash, Dark Urshifu, Raging Bolt, and Tornadus. So it's a very balanced, like what you would expect from this. Focus Sash on the Urshifu, Salt Vest, Raging Bolts, Tornadus, Rain Dance, Bleak Windstorm, Tailwind. So very like basic stuff, really. I do like. I don't know how well it fared and what the full matchup is for the Goldango with the fairy Terra type, which is good with all
fairy?
the. It's fairy.
Oh yeah,
with all the Dark Urshifu going around. I don't know how I feel about it. Like I do like it with the Dark Urshifu because that is one thing I ran into Charlotte talking about my terrible experience there, but was a Fluttermane Dark Urshifu lead. And all of a sudden, all the Fluttermanes are running extremely fast. And I could not take a Wicked Blow and a Moonblast. I was used to being able to outspeed the bulky Fluttermanes with an Icy Wind -1. I didn't outspeed a max speed Fluttermane at -1. And so it blew me up.
Consistently blew up. Yeah.
Consistently. So I think that helps with that Dark Urshifu matchup. And but I don't think anything else because it doesn't help.
I was gonna say because Fairy's not that good defensively.
Yeah. Like you resist dark, but that's pretty much the only relevant thing.
Right.
So because as Dragon, you then resist all the flare blitzes from Incineroar, Rapid Strike Urshifu, Rillaboom, you resist Raging Bolt stuff.
True, yeah. So Dragon is a pretty good defensive type.
Yeah.
All things considered.
Yeah, except for the most used Pokemon is a fairy, so that
except
hurts.
That hurts a lot. But yeah. And Edith walks away with 130 CP and $2,000, as well as Casti,
yeah.
Casti?
Guillermo Castilla. Yeah.
Guillermo Castilla.
Casti, he was him and Edith were both Worlds finalists last Worlds, right? Yeah, they were the finalists, yeah. Last year, yeah. Yep. So Casti brought Water Ogerpon, Fluttermane, Dark Urshifu too, I'm going to assume. Yep, Dark Urshifu. Yep. Harkonine, Landorus Incarnate, and a Raging Bolt.
So I think the interesting thing that we are seeing here, which I guess I don't know why I'm just putting it together, and maybe it's not entirely the case. Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like the top 4 here looks very balanced. Very balanced team heavy. And there's not like each of these you could take as a balanced good stuffs kind of team and run it that way. And it's not like there's no I want to say gimmick, like archetype gimmick type thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, it's balance. I mean that's its archetype.
Straight up balance.
Yeah, it is. You have answers for whatever you're going against, and you can adapt. Because that's a good thing about balance.
Which is not surprising to see one of the harder archetypes to run doing well consistently with top players.
Yes. Yeah, top players are going to run balance very well usually because you have to, because especially in a long tournament like this. I mean, you have 14 rounds of Pokemon, so
and you have to have answers 14 times for people.
Yeah, you need to be able to play with what you get because you're not always going to get balanced stuff in return. You're going to get a Dondozo here and there. You got to be able to cover.
Well, I was going to say So look at the top 4 is very balanced. The bottom, the 5 through 8, there's still
5.
We'll get to them.
Yeah, 5 is pretty balanced.
5 is balanced. The only weird thing about 5 is you have a Glamora.
Yes.
And the Chi-Yu, I think, fits a balanced role.
Chi-Yu Flutter is still strong.
It's still so strong. It's just going to be...
It hits hard.
I'm going to take a guess. I've not opened the paste yet, but I'm going to guess that... So this is Aurelian Sula? Sorry.
Yeah.
Aurelian Sula. I'm going to guess that Chi-Yu has a specs item. I'm sorry, a choice item, probably choice specs.
Yep.
And I'm right. And I feel like, again, I'm so adverse to choice items because I feel like whenever I do that, I will make the wrong choice.
You get locked into the wrong thing.
Right? But it takes a good player to be able to play around choice and actually get the most out of it.
Yeah.
And Chi-Yu is one of those Pokemon that pretty much always runs choice specs.
Yeah. Choice specs, Focus
maybe
Sash.
Choice Scarf, or maybe Focus Sash. That's kind of it, though, right?
Yeah. I've seen Citrus Berry, but that was like a long time ago. Like they go like Terra Grass, Citrus.
Yeah.
But you pretty much have Sash or.
I feel like I saw Charcoal early on in his life too, but not anymore.
I've seen Life Orb too.
Life Orb.
But
yeah, so that's that. I mean, the Life Orb also makes sense because you're not living much.
Just get that damage out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So okay, cool.
And Glimmers are all Meteor Beam sets now. Every time you see one.
Meteor Beam. Yeah, but I was gonna presume that's the case. But yeah, Meteor Beam, Psychic Shield, Sludge Bomb, Earth Power. That makes a lot of sense. Going on to the thing that is the first thing we see that is not strictly balanced. We have Expanding Horse.
Yes.
Roberto Parente brought Fire Pawn, Indeedee, Iron Crown. Which Fu is this?
Water.
Urshifu. Water Urshifu. Tornadus and a Reggie Drago.
Yes.
Which is pretty fun. This is nice to see that Expanding Horse did something cool. Right? Yeah. I feel like in Charlotte we saw a lot of Expanding Horse. But it didn't cut, right? In Charlotte? No, it was this is Liverpool. Whoops. In Charlotte, it did not cut the first
33.
No, it was 9th actually.
Oh yeah.
Rahan Ball had Expanding Horse. So okay, it actually was right up there too.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's an interesting archetype that I think really had its debut in Charlotte.
Yeah.
It's gonna be I think in the next couple of weeks. It's
something that does a lot of damage. And
I think it's gonna be tuned. I think the community is gonna kind of really build around this archetype a little more now because Iron Crown is a new toy, right?
If you look at this team, I mean, you have Iron Crown with Expanding Force. That's just lots of damage. And then you have a Reggie Drago with Dragon Energy. That is just lots of damage.
Right.
Like this is damage.team. It's just.
Yeah, but it a lot of this team's gimmick is also shut down by Wide Guard. Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have that's kind of a bummer. But like you have more options with Urshifu, with I mean even like Tachyon Cutter, Terra Blast on Iron Crown. You have Draco Meteor, Earth Power on Red Draco.
Hearth Flame Ogerpon,
and then just Hearth Flame Ogerpon itself is a great answer to things like, oh, you want to click Wide Guard? Well, have a Ivy Cudgel at +1, right? Like you've got plenty of things to kind of answer to that, and I think that's a key point for this type of archetype that's going to come out. Is it's going to be fast, high offense, and have the option to have the option to Trick Room, right?
Yep. And that's another thing though. It's like we talk about balance. Like it's another thing is it takes a good player. It takes a good player to top cut.
It's hard to pilot
anyway. But you have to make some reads with Roberto did on stream. I think he's on stream a couple times. But
good because I want to go back and watch him play this then. Because I'd love to see this piloted super well.
Yeah. Because he did and he just had to make the right calls at the right times.
And another thing too, if I'm really injecting my opinion into this, I actually really like this composition of 6 Pokemon. If I were to play this archetype, I'd definitely start here because I love all of these Pokemon. And I've never used Reggie Drago.
Yeah,
because it wasn't good in Swish.
It was not
at all, actually.
Which is so weird. Reggie, he's just nowhere to be found ever.
And this thing that's coming on, even with Fluttermane, Reggie Drago keeps showing up as of late in the last few months. So that's really fun to see.
I mean, Fluttermane. If you can take out a Fluttermane, and just have Reggie Drago versus everything else, you got a good chance. Reggie Drago's doing a lot of damage.
Yep.
Either Dragon Energy or Draco Meteor.
Yeah, good point. So, someone give me that pace, please. I want those numbers so I can play it online. Online, I mean. David Cognetta Cognetta,
Yeah.
Dave on Twitter,
Dave.
has the most interesting top 8 team, I reckon to say, because it has a Rillaboom, a Registeel, Incineroar, which Urshifu is this? A Single Strike, a Urshifu, a Cresselia, and then Raging Bolt. So what did this team do?
Registeel stuff. Iron Defense, Body Press.
Heavy Slam.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. The Rillaboom is a Miracle Seed, not Assault Vest, because that's on the Raging Bolt, but Taunt Rillaboom. Woodhammer, Fake Out, Taunt, Grassy Glide.
Ooh, that's fun.
Cresselia has Skill Swap, which is nice to... there's always tricky things you can do with Skill Swap,
Yeah,
so
it's
a handy...
Skill Swap is a fun move if you know what you want to have happen and you know that abilities will change that one way or the other, right?
Yep.
Like even if you just like Skill Swap Rillaboom and reset Grassy Surge, right?
Yep.
Like
the
classic thing you did with Indeedee and Skill Swap,
exactly.
right?
Yep.
So interesting. Although I also feel like Levitate's such a interesting ability.
Or you can give Levitate to Registeel, and if they have like a Landorus that's locked into a ground move or something, it's just got like, can't touch it anymore.
Yeah, that and the Water Terror on Registeel is pretty nice.
Yep.
So, okay, pretty nice to see this type of team, doing well in the tournament. Because it's the most interesting and different team that we've seen so far. Still kind of balanced, though, all things considered.
Yeah. I feel like it covers itself. So it is a balanced team. It's not a, I guess it's not gimmick. It doesn't have a set game plan kind of thing that you can look at it and it's like, okay, these are your main things, and then everything else kind of supports it. It is. Okay, what works? Yeah, what works in a given matchup?
Yep.
Unlike our next team, which has a very clear-cut in game.
This is a Glimmora Dozo team.
Yes.
So it is going to be. Is it set poison install or set toxic install?
No,
it's not actually.
It's not a. They're not running the mortal spin anymore. They're going for damage, but it's still one of the things. If you hit it with a physical move. You're gonna get So, but running one of the different things was it's a Life Orb Tatsu on this Dozo team,
which is interesting.
Yeah, and Rocky Helmet on the Dozo. So people like with Dozos have gone completely away from any kind of recovery. They just want to like either get some chip to go along with the damage they're doing. Whatever, but it's just they're doing a little bit more and not lasting around like they used to, which is good for everybody in the end.
I think so. Yes, correct. Interesting. That is top 8, and I think we failed to mention it, but the 5 through 8 got 100 CP and $1,000 in prize. That's pretty neat, all things considered. But I think for the most part here, there are some interesting teams. You go down to 13th place. You had Max Waterman, who had an Arachnid.
And Porygon.
And Porygon 2. Yep. Like, that's pretty weird. There's a couple more expanding. There's a team that actually...
Bruno's team's out there. Yeah, Bruno's team.
Yeah. With Expanding Horse and Hatterene. Yeah. This is a Trick Room with Horse. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So that'll be another interesting variation of that archetype to play.
Which, I mean, it makes it. It's always good to have sometimes like one fast, like you don't want to fully sometimes lock yourself into just Trick Room.
Correct. Yes, I agree.
It's good to have an option in case.
Now hold on. I guess King Gambit has obviously had good play outside of Trick Room.
Yes.
But Expanding Horse by itself is not enough to warrant not being in Trick Room for that team, I feel.
Yeah.
Everything else there is going to be probably slow.
But expanding the horse isn't the fastest thing. Like,
it's not.
So you can get
away.
If
you still set Trick Room, you're still going. There's a chance first.
There's a chance that you could be faster. Like it might be for other trick room teams, like something like that.
Also true.
Something that you can just know you're going to outspeed other trick room teams.
So interesting, all fun stuffs.
Go back and watch. Go back and watch it. Have some fun.
I need to.
Yeah. There's some good matches in the tournament. Be a good background while you're working, kind of thing.
Yeah, I just think the most interesting part, of course, is going to be everything the continued discussion about hack check that comes out of this, because that's the biggest kind of
we'll see in Knoxville if they continue with the same level. Like that's just one of the things.
Goodness, Knoxville is this upcoming weekend. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, also good luck to anyone going to Knoxville.
Yes.
Like Mocha.
Yeah, I hate that. Won't be there. It's right up the road from me. They're like hour and a half away, but
it's close to you.
No, it's farther than an hour and a half to Knoxville. 2.5 to 3 hours actually to Knoxville.
Oh, okay.
But still. Yeah, it's the kid's birthday this weekend, so I'll be busy doing all that fun stuff.
That's important.
Yeah. And I don't think she would have too much fun going to a Pokemon tournament for her fourth birthday.
Probably not. I'll accept that's probably not the case. Okay, cool. Well, tell me about Palworld.
Palworld is an incredible game. So I was talking to my wife about it. I was telling her about it, and the best way I could describe it as is you take someone that is a Gen 1 Pokemon person like me, you became a game developer, and you had a fever dream of what Pokemon grew up with you. Like if Pokemon kind of grew up with us, the game did and it evolved, you get Palworld. It is a Gen 1er's fever dream.
That's pretty fair.
And I just love it. It's but it's unique and it's familiar at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it's so I not trying to rehash stuff that I mentioned on last week's episode. It's familiar because we've played this game before, right? Like it is Arc.
It's your survival.
It's your tree puncher game.
Yeah, base builder. It has all those elements, but the pals add such a different level to it. And it's something just so simple to add to it, to the whole formula of your survival game.
Kind of. So what's fun and again, it's Arc. You replace dinosaurs with pals, and then you have this game. But the fun part and the Gen 1er aspect of this is that it's the familiarity is the catching and the elemental types, and the fact these pals can use moves and level up, and like they grow like a Pokemon does.
Yeah.
And I think I do agree that's an interesting take on the monster catching genre and slapping it into the survival crafting genre.
Yeah. It's not two things I would have just thought of wanting together.
But also you think about it and you're like, wow, how has this not been done before?
Yes. Agree.
I don't think there is a game that does it quite like this.
There's not.
No?
And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it, is just the elements that it is. And you can play with friends. Which
I think, and that's probably so. I think you and I have a very interesting opinion on playing with friends right now. So, like we mentioned before, and so we're playing on a server with the three of us, you, me, and Mocha, and then like the Pokesports guys. So Mike, Kevin, PA as well. They're mod. Who else? I think that's it right now. But all and some of Kevin's friends all playing on this server, and like we're all trying to play together, but I'm so far behind.
Yes, me too. Like I'm probably a little bit ahead of you, I think, at this point. So. But like, yeah, we are like, well, Mocha's like just takes breaks at work to go and like build like they're like all like worlds, like doing stuff. I'm like, what in the world? Like I'm sitting here like
I got a rock and a stick, man. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm sitting here building like a wooden little fence and I'm happy. And then they have this like metal and stone like structure
castle.
Yeah.
So it's fun because like obviously it's gaming is more fun with friends by a long shot, I think. And especially this type of game where it's so boldly encouraged. But like it's fun to sit there and be able to be like, yes, cool. Like I'm gonna go on the server, play with always play together, and we can still kind of contribute even though we're so far behind.
Yeah.
But most importantly, mooch off of what they've done.
Yes. That's what that. Let me use your resources. Thank you.
Especially when like the resources that we need at lower levels, they have a gazillion of, and they will not miss us using 1% to give us, whatever we need.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny. But like, there's definitely a weird disconnect there because like I want to go and like I got to go play my single player playthrough so I can kind of get more like progression myself.
We'll get that feel like of the full like you're not just like I feel like an NPC in their world sometimes like
yeah. So I have not beaten any of the bosses yet. I have not I don't know, do pals evolve? They evolve, right?
No, they don't.
No, they do not evolve.
They do not evolve.
Oh, okay.
But you can breed anything.
Yes. So and then there's certain pals you can only get through breeding as well.
Yeah, and there's like so you can put anything together and you'll get an egg out of it.
Right.
Whenever you're at that point. But yeah, they don't evolve, but also that's kind of good because there's like some things that have a synergy, like because they have like basically wombo combo kind of stuff, like what is it, a sweeper and a swee. Like a swee is basically a baby sweeper, but they power up the swee is the baby sweeper, and they power it up if they're in your party. Like they give it a ton of stats. So it's kind of like a Dondozo.
Sure. That's a wild way to say that, but yeah, sure. That's interesting because like I feel like, and maybe this is another way to keep it distinct, so that it's not Pokemon, they're not evolving, guys. Look, hey, we're not strictly copying your homework. We made it different. So that's interesting because there are definitely some that I thought looked related, but maybe that's just it. They look it, but they don't actually evolve or something. Yeah, like they don't. They don't become the other one.
You bring up one thing though. I think it's a fascinating kind of thing. Like especially in this day and age, like our full internet, everything's connected. We have all the information era. Like as a aspiring game developer myself, it's one of the things that's like it's hard to come up with new ideas. And if you have a good idea, but someone already like Pokemon exists, but you're like, man, like their type chart is just so it's good. Like Pokemon's typing and like effectiveness chart, but it's an RPG also staple anyway, like the typical flow. And just like their system of capturing, battling, it's a good formula overall.
Yes, I think. I think expound on that.
Like so, like the whole Pokemon, like having like a partner that fights for you kind of thing, like in that concept. So like but if you have an idea for a game and it revolves around that, how can you not be like someone say you're not copying Pokemon?
Oh, I mean, sure.
You know what I mean? Like
there's a whole bunch of things that are in that monster catching and thin fight for you genre, right?
Yeah.
If you just look at, I mean, the classic Pokemon, Digimon, right?
Yeah.
But then if you, I guess your point is like it's even better because now you fight alongside the pals.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a different part of the formula.
They're expanding on that to an extent, and like I get people are upset over the designs.
Oh yeah, there's very very Well, there's the handful of pals are very obviously
yes, but it's one of the things too. It's like, is that not smart from a marketing thing? Like, you're not copying. Like, they're not ripping a model, throwing it in Blender, throwing a hat on it, and calling it something their own. Like, they want it to be familiar, so people are like, "Hey, I know what that is."
Yeah, there's something to that probably. But I feel like if there's something to that in a marketing sense, then that's also legal ground, which is just a fine line to walk.
Yes, and
then if you want to argue ethics and artists, then that's a whole other bag of worms to open up. So,
but I mean, honestly, like after our whole talk about the ginning and dealing with Game Freak and TPCI, like, rip them off. I don't care at this point. Like, they need to be ripped off a little bit or something. Like, they have it coming to them.
Something about like, sticking it to the man when it comes to corporations. I agree.
That Pokemon's going to be just fine. And also, like, they've made over 1,000 Pokemon. Like, you're also going to run into a point where if someone makes something like this, they're bound to come up with designs that mimic a Pokemon. It's just bound to happen. Like, Pokemon have things that resemble things from Dragon Quest, like, because you always see that going. Like, so you're going to have similarities, but I think like if you play Palworld, like, I think a lot of people that bash on it haven't played it, because if you play it, a lot of things have very kind of distinct personalities too. Like the pals, they like. Each one of them has such personality, which is weird. Also, for a game that seems shallow.
They put so much into the actual, like, models moving and the rigging for that, which is, to their credit, yes, very good. Like, it's fun to see for this game to be as obviously ripoff as it is, but to put in the effort of, like, hey, look at how the pals they have different moods when they're working the base. They have different animations when they're running around with you. They look excited. They look upset. They look. I haven't really, like, one of the statuses is like sprained or broken boned or something, and like there's
they get sick and
but there's no animation for that, which I guess to this point it makes me a little sad. Like, I wish there was something more to that.
We're also in early access still too, so there's
that's
also
very true.
Like, there's. Like, and as much money as I'm like the amount of people playing this game.
Oh man, there's 8 million copies.
Unless they, like, pull the GoFundMe route and just like, oh, we made our money, we're not touching this thing again. It already sold. But if they actually, like,
well, they're apparently making other games too. Like, there's another game that the company is working on right now. Even with the fact that they're still early accessing Palworld.
Yeah.
So that's a wild thing too. And if you look at some of the stuff that's come out about the company, they're like they are not developers. They are very green when it comes to some of this game design developing stuff.
It is an indie.
Yeah.
It's an indie game, which also, like, I can give a pass if you make something closely resemble a actual Pokemon. Like, these guys are new. They're not.
Yeah. Well, it was just wild to me.
Yeah, this isn't Activision copying or Blizzard copying Pokemon. You know, it's not where they have a giant team behind them. Like, this is an indie developer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it is definitely impressive, the fact that this game exists.
Yes,
and has gone as far as it is.
And I'm glad it does, though, because I like seeing something like this that just I think is a good video game.
Well, I think the other thing too, right? No matter which side of opinion you're on, whether you think it's a good game, a bad game, a straight up copy, or it did enough to justify its existence, did enough difference. You cannot deny the story that this game is making.
Oh yeah.
Because of, again, how it's second highest concurrent players on Steam, next right behind PUBG. PUBG is the only game that has it beat right now.
Wow.
in concurrent players.
That's
peak
wild.
Concurrent players. Yeah, wild. And then, like, how much money it made so fast. Like, this game is we'll be talking about this game for a while. Like the industry will be.
Yeah, and I like it's almost like the game marketed itself, just saying it's Pokemon with guns, because that's not something they said.
That's not even. I was gonna say, yeah, they didn't say that. That's what the community said.
Yeah, someone saw it.
It's not even true.
No, and so like, but just that, people are like, I gotta see what this is. Like,
and it's enough to yes.
And then when you get in, you're like, wow, this is actually better than what I
thought it was. Yes. There's a few of my coworkers like, wait, this is not what I wanted. I wanted it to just be Pokemon with guns. Like, no, you've not played enough of this to really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It is. But I'm glad to see something like that. I'm glad to see another good game. Like we had Baldur's Gate 3. And so I'm glad to see something else come out that's good. And just because I feel like a lot of times we get disappointed with games these days.
Yeah. Well, that's so interesting too, right? And this definitely begs the question of like, you get a AAA studio puts out this game that looks really cool. Like it'll be great. Think of Anthem, right? It looked so cool. I wanted that game to be so good. That was gonna be my forever game if it was good. But then like, oh, it sucks. It doesn't feel right. Oh, yeah. The progression's wrong. The servers are now down. Like all this stuff. Starfield. Oh yeah, even more recent. Starfield. It's people are finding fun things to do in Starfield, but it's just kind of big open and empty between a lot of the stuff. It's like there's so much there that like there's so much hype around it. But then you get to it and it sucks. But like you have this AAA company AAA developer put in all this effort into it, and it's supposed to be amazing. All right, cool. They had this indie developer put not as much effort into the game.
Definitely not as much money.
Definitely not as much. They said the budget for this game was like
$6 million. I think it was it $6 million?
No.
Oh, was it that much?
No, not at all. It was like
I don't remember. I'll have to look it up.
10,000.
Oh, was it?
It was
wow.
That might be. That's probably a little exaggerated. That can't be. But like something very small. But yeah, hold on. Let's budget for Palworld.
6.78 million. 1 billion.
That makes
yen.
more sense. $1 million.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's 1 billion yen.
Yeah, 6.78 million.
Where did I see $10,000 from? That doesn't make any sense when I said that out loud.
But I mean, that's still not a huge budget for a game like this.
Okay.
This is
hold on.
This is a big game. Like this took a lot of work.
But they made they made more than 20 times their money. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
25 times their money when they sold 8 million copies of this for $25.
Yeah. Also, yeah, that's another thing. $25.
It's a $30 video game.
Which is ridiculous compared to what a lot of games you pay full retail price, like $60, $70 for. You get so much more out of this game.
It's true. It is very true. I'm gonna look for something real quick because I think I'm trying to find where I saw this stupid number. That doesn't make any sense. That's going to annoy me. Because it makes no sense.
I'm trying to think. What was? Oh yeah, this will be. What's Starfield's budget?
Oh yeah, it was something random, and it was misdoing yen. Okay, never mind.
Do you know what the production cost of Starfield was?
Oh no, how much was it?
$200 million. It cost them $200 million to make Starfield
versus 7 million. That's wild. I love it. It's very interesting, and I want to know. I want to fast forward like 18 months and see
where it is.
What Palworld did to the industry.
Yeah. Well,
that's going to be part of the discussion we have in a year.
Well, it's like Baldur's Gate 3. It's like making studios step up their game.
Right. Because
people are like, oh, you can put out a game like that? Like,
but then flip side, oh, you can put out a game like Palworld? Like,
yeah.
It's gonna be it's
yeah. And also that like let this like so I don't know if any listeners like to support anything on like GoFundMe or what any games coming up, but if they're saying we need to raise 10, 30, whatever $1,000 to make this video game, that's a lie. It costs way more money to make a video game. Like,
but yeah, good point. We can look at that now and see, right?
Yeah. So
a lot of those though also like
will be scammed. A lot of them will be scams a lot of times.
And a lot of them are just to get the project started.
Yeah,
it's
it depends on what they're asking for.
Kickstarting what it is. Yeah,
it depends on what they're asking for, because some of them are like, we'll say like, oh, $10,000 and that's all we need to make a video. Like, no. Like,
so you gotta be careful.
It costs millions of dollars to make a video game. Like, even low budget, because you got to think everybody's pay and time and resource. Like, it's all a lot of money, but $6 million for a game isn't much in today's industry. Like, compared to Starfield, it costs $200 million. Like, that's insane.
Also, how much bloat do you have on a company like Bethesda versus a little indie?
Yep.
What is going on? Okay. Yeah. So that's Palworld's update number 2 from the Game Corner.
Yep.
I imagine next week after Knoxville, we'll talk about Knoxville and more Palworld.
Yes, probably.
So look forward to that, or don't.
If I had to guess, Mocha's will probably have max level, and
absolutely, Mocha's gonna be max level. Mike and Kevin will be max level as well, probably at that point.
We'll be about halfway there.
I'll be level 15.
Yeah.
Out of 50.
Yep, still rubbing some sticks together, trying to make a fire or something.
Actually, in all honesty, I want to. As soon as this recording's done, I'm probably gonna jump on Palworld for a little bit.
I might hop into a server, go check some things.
Let's see what's happening. Actually, I think I have to clean the kitchen a little bit. That's a different story. But yeah, so I do want to do some other things that aren't Palworld and regionals coming up soon. But I think after next week, I'll have more free time to play other video games. Which will be definitely a thing that's a good feeling for the podcast. Yeah,
that's a good feeling if you know you got some free time coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So shall we wrap this up?
Yes, but something that's been on my mind.
Yes.
Saw it on Jeopardy, and I got to ask you something.
Okay.
What is the line that Darth Vader says to Luke about being a parent?
Is it not "I am your father"?
What's the full quote?
Is it not Luke, "I am your father"?
Oh no!
Oh man!
It's a Mandela effect thing.
It's a Nelson effect.
Nelson effect.
Thank you. I'm trying to get that going. It's very good.
Well, the actual quote is, "No, I am your father."
Is it "No, I am your father"?
Yes.
Hold on.
It blew my mind. And
Hold on.
Yeah. Everyone.
No, wait, hold on.
Everyone I've talked to thinks it's "Luke, I am your father," but it is not. As many times as I've seen that movie, I cannot believe.
That's what stuck to your. That's what's stuck in the in the.
It's what's
the zeitgeist.
in everybody's. It is like data is corrupted on the mainframe.
Why can I not find just a clip that's a few seconds before?
Oh.
Okay, that's fine. I'll find it later.
Yeah.
But I think I want to believe you. I see people talking about it online. Oh no.
Because the question on Jeopardy was something to do. It was about James Earl Jones, but it was a quote, and they gave a quote from Star Wars. They didn't say it was Star Wars, but it said, "No, I am your father." And I was like, well, they're not talking about Darth Vader, because that's not the quote. So I was like, but no. When I said James Earl Jones, I was like, wait a minute.
Wow. Well, that's upsetting. Thank you. You've ruined my week. You're
welcome. Just let that soak in.
Well, besides Palworld, Pokemon, and Jeopardy, have you played any other video games? Any other games?
No.
Yeah, that's fair. I've been touching Cult of the Lamb. Had its Sins of the Flesh update, which is pretty fun. So I've been trying to get into that, which is a fun Steam Deck game. Fun to just lay in bed right before falling asleep and kind of lay in bed and play a little bit. And that's pretty much it. Actually, that in Palworld.
My wife is the one that gets to play video games now more than I do. So she I I got her. She played through all the Mass Effects.
I need to do that
because
I did start Mass Effect. So
she has a hard time fighting games she likes, and so she likes RPG sometimes, but she doesn't like turn-based RPG.
Yeah, so I remember this conversation earlier. It was really upsetting to me as a human. We talked about this at Charlotte in person.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Yeah, so it's hard to find games, but I got her into Mass Effect. She finished those up, and now she's starting Cyberpunk.
Ooh, okay, yeah. I need it's Cyberpunk's on my list of games to play as well,
especially since they fixed it finally. But going back to the AAA developers, like they just push out a game, and then 2-3 years into its life, they finally fix it and make it the actual game it's supposed to be.
That's why Starfield will be good eventually.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it will, but we'll have to wait till remastered. Maybe by the time they make that good, we'll get an announcement about Elder Scrolls 6.
Oh, that's probably right. That's probably right. Well, I've been Harrison. You can find me online at Roixen, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube stuff. Really, it's my YouTube's here. I don't know why I say that anymore. And I've not done any other content besides this, so here. But Twitter, Roixen. Sheldon, who are you?
I am Sheldon. Find me pretty much everywhere as Captain Unova. On Twitter is Captain_Unova.
Just had to be different. Just had to be complicated.
Yeah, I know.
And together we've been the Game Corner. You can find us at Game Corner VGC on Twitter and all the things. You can find all the stuff down below. Discord, Patreon, YouTube's, all of our other side projects. If they're worth linking, they're there. So go check them out. And we appreciate y'all listening or watching on YouTube and or Spotify, etc. Post something in the comments down below. I didn't think about anything for engagement. So just say hi. Just, hey, how's it going?
Or did you know that about Star Wars?
Did you know that about Star Wars? Did you know that quote? What did you say before Sheldon gave the answer? Because that was upsetting. But yeah, and until next time, press start and game on. Bye.